I've got another treat for you, friends. I love every part of the quilting process, but I'd love very much to be trimming your quilts. So I would encourage you to consider me doing the trimming process on your quilt. It's a service that I offer. It is very economical, and many people just don't have the space to be able to do it, the big tools to be able to do it, the time to be able to do it, the expertise. Everything is great. When you see your quilt ready to go, that first impression makes such a difference. Plus, it is totally ready to bind. Now, another process I love doing is binding. And what's happening on this quilt is I'm actually doing the self-binding. That means I'm taking the backing of the fabric and I'm rolling it around to the front. I'm not using a separate strip of fabric right here. I'm just doing it as is. Mary brought this over. The quilt was had been quilted, but it needed to be bound, and she just doesn't have the bandwidth to be able to do it right now. She wants my self-binding with my magic corner technique, which I love so much. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I have two cutting boards. I have a cutting mat underneath, right here, my large one, and then I have my smaller one that I have put between the backing and the batting. And I'm going to cut the batting and the front of the quilt equal to each other. I have lined up my acrylic ruler with the border in between here. But the other thing I need to be careful of is to make sure that I don't cut the backing fabric. So this cutting board has to be underneath, far enough under the batting that it's not going to be cutting that part. That is the very, very important section. I am now going to cut very carefully. I've checked to make sure that this is all being held on top of that second cutting board. Be sure that you check on that before you attempt this at home, my friends. Almost by a professional. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the backing fabric about 3/4 of an inch larger than that. I'm going to line up my acrylic ruler again. I'm just going to show you a section of it here. Normally I will go ahead and prep all of it and then I'll work on this section, but I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm lining this up so it's a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch, and that's what I'm going to cut the backing fabric equal to. And I'm going to use this part to do my binding by double rolling it, and the backing will come right over to the front, and that's where I'll do my stitching. I also have a magic corner technique that I teach every year over here at the quilting studio in the better months of the year, when it is cooler in the winter. Take a minute to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Hit the arrow down below. It will take you to other videos of this quilt being stitched out and the binding being put onto it. And I'd be happy to share tips and tricks. Send a quilt over here to Brenda's Quilting Studio and we'll get started real swiftly.